In the quiet sanctuary of her home, Sarah stood before the window with an intensity that bordered on desperation. The morning light streamed in, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the air. Today was the day she would face the remnants of her past. Joe, her ex-fiancé, had called unexpectedly, rekindling long-buried memories that threatened to drown her. But to combat this storm of emotions, Sarah wasn't alone. Jake, her ever-enthusiastic golden retriever, was by her side, embodying unconditional love and unwavering loyalty. Jake trotted around the living room, his tail wagging furiously, a golden blur against the muted colors of her decor. As he brought her his favorite squeaky toy, that familiar warmth enveloped Sarah. She couldn't help but smile, though her heart was heavy with questions. How could she allow her past to creep back in? How could she confront it without losing the one constant in her life? "All right, Jake," she said, kneeling to meet his eager gaze. "Let's distract ourselves with a great adventure." Clutching the toy, he bounded toward the door, exuding a spark of joy that was impossible to resist. They stepped into the outdoors. A world of vibrant greens welcomed them. The park was just a stone's throw away, echoing with laughter and the sights of eager dogs chasing after their owners. But for Sarah, it represented a landscape filled with possibilities and lurking pain. Taking a deep breath, she reminded herself of the one thing she could always count on: Jake. Just moments after they arrived, Sarah tossed a ball for Jake, who raced after it with a fervor that brought a genuine laugh to her lips. "You're a natural athlete, you know that," she said, watching him dart through the tall grass like a shooting star. Each return brought him back with an infectious sense of pride, his tongue hanging out, his joy palpable, yet, in between, the laughter echoed the murmur of doubt. Was she strong enough to face her past? Amid the carefree moments spent with Jake, shadows lingered, shadows of opportunities missed and a heart left vulnerable. Jake didn't just retrieve the ball. He retrieved the pieces of her that felt scattered and lost. After a few rounds of fetch, they settled beneath an ancient oak tree, shaded from the sun's harsh rays. The weight of the world felt lighter here, with the soft rustling of leaves and the distant laughter of families creating a serene backdrop. As Jake lay beside her, he rested his head on her lap, eyes filled with unwavering devotion. It was a comfort she desperately needed. Sarah absent-mindedly scratched behind Jake's ears, his eyes fluttering shut in bliss. But just as all felt perfect, something shifted. A sense of foreboding washed over her. Glancing around, she noticed a man staring at them from a distance. He was familiar, though she couldn't quite place him. A sinking feeling lodged itself in her stomach, nudging at memories she wished to keep quiet. "Jake, do you know that guy?" she whispered, half expecting a response. But all she got was a soft snort as Jake shifted positions, blissfully unaware of her rising anxiety. The man started walking toward them. Sarah's mind raced. Was it Joe? No, it couldn't be. But why did he feel so familiar? As he drew closer, she could see the shape of his features, the way he carried himself. It was unsettling. The world around her faded, and all that existed was this stranger and the approaching storm inside her heart. "Hey, there," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "Hi," Sarah replied cautiously, the word escaping unwillingly as Jake suddenly perked up, tail wagging at the unfamiliar scent. "It's been a while," he continued, a hint of recognition in his eyes. "I'm Mike." The name struck her. Mike. A name from a time she had buried. He was a friend of Joe's, someone in their circle, though the past and present felt like an ocean apart. "What are you doing here?" she managed, keeping her tone polite but distant. "Just visiting." "I saw you from across the park and couldn't help but say hi," Mike replied, his gaze flickering to Jake. "Nice dog. Is he a golden retriever?"
"Yeah,"
Sarah said, feeling her defenses rise. "His name is Jake." She gently squeezed Jake's side, drawing comfort from his solid presence. "Great dog," Mike mused, leaning closer, a friendly smile plastered on his face. "I can see how much he means to you." Her breath caught in her throat, unable to move past the wall she built. "What do you want, Mike?" she blurted, a mix of hurt and protection rolling off her tongue. The minute the words left her mouth, she regretted them. But the emotional stakes ran high, just wanted to catch up. I heard about you and Joe, he replied cautiously, watching her reaction closely. Her heart raced. What? About it? Sarah shot back, defensive as time rewound, her past crumbling at her feet. I don't want to bring up bad memories, but then don't, she interrupted, the image of Joe looming larger and larger in her mind. I'm not interested in digging up the past. Jake sensed her agitation, nudging her hand as if to say, I'm here for you. Mike held up his hands in mock surrender. I understand. But sometimes, it helps to talk about it. With a deep breath, she steadied herself. Because of Jake, she didn't want to succumb to old emotions. Not everything needs to be addressed. Some things are better left alone. A flicker of understanding passed between them as the tension hung heavy in the air. Fair enough, Sarah. I just wanted you to know, some things can be mended, Mike offered. You have to let them go first. Jake let out a small bark, breaking the silence. The eager look in his eyes created the distraction they both needed. When Sarah glanced down, she saw Jake, proud and happy as he clutched a bit of grass in his mouth, oblivious to the heaviness of the conversation as she couldn't help but say, regarding Jake. He's blissfully unaware. Looks like he's doing a pretty good job at that, Mike chuckled, the atmosphere shifting slightly.
Yeah.
Well, I could use a bit of that bliss myself, she said, offering a tentative smile. And in that moment, she realized that amid uncertainty, Jake had created a bubbly sanctuary where old pain faded and new connections could form. Maybe we could chat sometime when you're feeling a bit more up to it? Mike suggested, his voice softer now. Sarah mulled over. Perhaps some things could indeed be mended, but only if she allowed herself to be vulnerable again. I'll think about it, she replied evasively. As Mike finally stepped away, Jake wagged his tail wildly, as if sharing in an unspoken relief. It felt as though an invisible weight had lifted, albeit an uncomfortable one. That's when Jake did something entirely unexpected. Bolted after a butterfly dancing through the air, uncutting the tension in a spray of joy and laughter. Realizing that amidst uncertainty, love remained a constant, Sarah gathered Jake into her arms, the warmth of their bond wrapping around them like a comforting cloak. She felt ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that no matter what, she had Jake, the unthinkable friend who would always stand by her side, even when the world felt heavy, and for the first time that day, she allowed herself to smile genuinely. Forgetting about the shadows of her past, if only for a moment. Together, they'd forge ahead, one joyful paw step at a time. The unforeseen a treasure, the sun sank low in the sky, casting golden hues over the park. Sarah and Jake wandered along the familiar trails, her emotions still swirling from the encounter with Mike. Despite the heaviness in her heart, Jake's playful nature tugged her away from spiraling thoughts. He bounded ahead, a blur of fur and energy, chasing shadows as the evening sun painted everything in a warm glow. Come on, Jake, she called, laughing as he darted off the path toward a cluster of trees. She appreciated this moment of escape, the way the wind tousled her hair and how the scent of blooming flowers filled the air. But every now and then, whispers of doubt would creep back in, reminding her of the unresolved relationship with Joe. But she pushed those thoughts aside. Today was about Jake, their adventures, and the comfort of their bond. As they reached a secluded area of the park bordered by ancient oaks, Jake suddenly halted, his ears perked. Sarah squinted to see what captured his attention. Her heart raced with curiosity when she noticed Jake pawing at something half buried in the ground. What have you got there, buddy? She asked, approaching slowly. Crouching down beside him, she could see it was a small, weathered box. Curiosity surged through her as she brushed away the dirt, revealing a rusty latch. Jake barked softly, clearly excited by the discovery. Let's open it, Sarah said, her heart pounding with exhilaration. She tugged at the latch, but it resisted stubbornly. Of course it wouldn't be easy, she muttered, smiling. She pulled out a pocket knife from her hiking pack, using it to pry open the box with a bit more force. With a satisfying click, the latch finally gave way, revealing the tattered contents inside. As she lifted the lid, a musty odor lingered, but what greeted her was unexpected: a collection of small, old letters tied together. with a frayed ribbon and a square, glinting object underneath them. What are you? She mused aloud, pulling out the letters and setting Jake beside her. His nose twitched in curiosity, and he leaned in, sniffing at the odd treasure. Carefully, she removed the letters, placing them on the grass. The first letter was dated from decades ago, the handwriting elegant yet shaky, revealing emotions that captured a moment frozen in time. Intrigued, she began to read. My dearest Eleanor, it seems the world conspires against us, yet my thoughts remain bound to you. Shall we ever find the courage to meet again? Yours always, Thomas. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Who were Thomas and Eleanor? What had transpired between them? Each letter told a heart-wrenching story filled with passion, longing, and sorrow. As she read through them, she felt as if she had stumbled upon someone else's love story, a time capsule of emotions that echoed her own fears and hopes. Jake, sensing her engrossment, tugged at the hem of her pants, breaking her concentration. What is it, boy? She asked, glancing down. He gazed back with those soulful eyes, his head slightly tilted as if urging her to follow him. Okay. Let me finish this first, she chuckled, but Jake was insistent. Putting the letters aside for a moment, Sarah followed Jake deeper into the thicket. He bounded ahead, tail wagging happily, leading her to a small clearing. The air was thick with the scent of pine, and the sounds of chirping crickets filled her ears. To her surprise, the sight in front of her left her momentarily breathless. A small pond glimmered in the fading light, surrounded by wildflowers and lush greenery. This was her secret spot, the one area she had almost forgotten about, a haven she'd discovered during childhood explorations. As she approached the pond, she caught sight of a reflect-a glimpse of her younger self, carefree and filled with dreams. In that moment, she felt a shift in her spirit, an anchor in the storm of her emotions. Jake splashed into the water, chasing after tiny ripples, breaking the serene surface with innocent joy. Look at you, Jake, she laughed, suddenly overcome with warmth, watching as he attempted to catch a fallen leaf floating by. You've found my happy place again. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, Sarah felt compelled to return to the box beneath the tree. The letters were beckoning her back, and she could almost sense the stories longing to be uncovered. Taking a deep breath, she gathered her resolve. Jacob, always the eager companion, jogged back to her side as she settled onto the grass, the letters before her like secret whispers from the past. She picked one up, its edges yellowed, and began reading again. If only I could have told you the truth, my heart would be free. This world can be cruel, separating us when we only wish to be together. Her heart ached for Thomas, the longing within his words resonating deeply. But as she read on, the tone shifted. But betrayal has a way of finding us. I can't change what happened, only seek forgiveness. In that instant, Sarah felt the weight of her own emotions swirl around her. Betrayal echoed in her past, intertwined with Joe. The love that had once filled her with hope now felt tainted. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to breathe deeply, focusing on Jake's peaceful presence by her side. Jake, how do we move on from betrayal? She whispered wistfully. He nudged her, as if offering a silent vow of support, reminding her that memories could both haunt and heal. Determined to dive deeper, she read more letters, uncovering a tangled tale of heartbreak and reconciliation, of courage and regret. Each word wove a tapestry that was both foreign and familiar. Just when she thought she was developing an understanding of Thomas and Eleanor's saga, the letters began to take an unexpected turn. Tomorrow, I will meet with Eleanor, one letter began, filled with urgency. It may be the last chance I have to rectify what I've done. Sarah's insides tightened. A last chance? The uncertainty felt tangible, the tension palpable. She was so caught up in the unfolding drama that she hadn't noticed the shadows lengthening around her. Suddenly, Jake began to bark, his attention captured by rustling in the bushes nearby. Sarah's heart raced anew. She glanced around, suddenly aware of how isolated they were in the clearing. Jake, stop, she ordered, but his instinct took over as he trotted eagerly towards the noise. With a mix of dread and curiosity, she followed him, her heart pounding. As they approached the dense thicket, the rustling grew louder, more erratic. Just as they reached the edge, a figure stumbled out from the underbrush. A man, tangled in brambles, with wide eyes and a frantic expression. What the? Sarah gasped, her heart racing. Please help me, the man cried, panic etched across his features. I'm lost. I was hiking and I think I took a wrong turn. Jake, sensing the urgency, rushed forward to investigate, sniffing the man's legs in a display of friendly curiosity. Sarah took a cautious step back, her instincts warring with compassion. Calm down. Just take a breath, she said, glancing around for any signs of danger. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you, the man replied, running a hand through his messy hair. I was trying to find my way back, but I must have scared myself into the wrong place. I didn't mean to intrude. Are you alone? Sarah asked, her voice steady but cautious. Yes. I lost my group. They don't know where I am. With Jake dutifully returning to her side, Sarah considered her options. She could easily head back to the main trail, leave this man to find his way alone, but something in his voice, an echo of desperation, pulled at her heart. Okay, she finally said, making a quick decision. I'll help you find your way back. Really? Thank you, the man exclaimed, relief washed over his expression. My name's Alex. I'm Sarah, and this is Jake. She glanced at her energetic pup, who gave a tail-wagging approval, ready to lead them back home. As they set off, Sarah felt the odd twist of fate. From the moment she had discovered the box, reality had shifted like a sudden gust of wind. She began to lead the way, Jake at the front as their silent guide. Every so often, she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter intertwined somehow with the letters she was meant to help, and perhaps even heal, with Alex walking alongside her. She couldn't help but wonder about the connections between the stories from the past and the present. Why was it that some paths crossed at unexpected moments, nudging her toward reflection and release? As the evening settled in, their journey continued, the rustle of leaves mingling with the distant sounds of laughter from the park. With every step, she felt a greater sense of purpose, reminding herself that, like Thomas and Eleanor, sometimes lost souls find each other when they least expect it, sparking new beginnings in the shadows of the past. The unexpected reunion. The air was thick with anticipation as Sarah, Alex, and Jake navigated the dense thicket towards the main park path. Shadows danced around them, casting an eerie light that matched the tension simmering in her chest. She couldn't shake the strange sensation that their paths were somehow intertwined, a feeling that echoed the threads of Thomas and Eleanor's letters. So, how did you end up lost in these woods? Sarah asked, attempting to break the silence that hung heavy between them. I came with a group for a hiking trip, Alex replied, adjusting his backpack. We were supposed to follow the trails, but I got sidetracked when I noticed some interesting rock formations. Before I knew it, I had wandered off too far. I tried to backtrack, but, well, here I am. He chuckled awkwardly, but Sarah sensed the underlying anxiety. Just keep close to Jake. He's good at finding his way around, she reassured him, patting Jake, who seemed eager to help. As they walked, Sarah couldn't help but sneak glances at Alex. He looked disheveled, sweat glistening on his forehead as he wiped it away. Yet there was something intriguing about him, his earnestness, and the way his brown eyes widened with every bit of knowledge about his surroundings. It reminded her of her own adventurous spirit, a time when she would lose herself in nature without a care in the world. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke her thoughts, sending a chill down her spine. Jake perked up, his ears twitching as he scanned the area. What was that? Sarah whispered, her voice barely escaping her lips. Probably just a deer or something, Alex said, but his nonchalant demeanor didn't convince her. She noticed that he had tightened his grip on the strap of his backpack as if bracing himself for something unexpected. Or a bear, she teased, though her heart raced with the thought. The forests could be unpredictable, and they were not entirely alone. Let's hope it's just deer, he replied nervously, fidgeting with the zipper of his pack. Sarah tried to shake off her growing anxiety. They continued walking, but her instincts remained on edge, the unsettling feeling lurking just beneath the surface. She knew that uncovering the letters had stirred something within her, but the connection to Alex felt inexplicably a strange twist in the narrative that had unfolded without her consent. See that path? Alex gestured ahead. It should lead us back to the main trail. I can almost smell the food from the picnic area. Her mouth watered at the thought of food, but just then Jake began barking frantically, his posture tense. He ran a few feet ahead, but Sarah quickly called him back. Jake, come, she commanded, urgency creeping into her voice that he hesitated for a moment, tail still wagging, but then dutifully returned to her side. What's wrong with him? Alex asked, eyeing Jake curiously. I don't know, maybe something feels off? Sarah admitted, her heart skipping a beat just as she was about to dismiss it as paranoia. Another loud crack echoed from the trees nearby. Stay close, she instructed, grabbing Alex's arm without thinking. Dark clouds began to roll in, casting ominous shadows that seemed to hold secrets of their own. The tension in the air thickened with every passing moment. Maybe we should hurry, Alex suggested, an edge creeping into his voice. Agreed, she replied, urging Jake to stay right by her side. As they picked up the pace, the sound of cracking branches grew closer, echoing eerily through the woods. Suddenly, something darted through the underbrush, a large figure moving swiftly in their direction. Panic surged through Sarah. What is that? She gasped, her heart racing. I don't know, Alex exclaimed, his voice betraying a mix of fear and confusion. In an instant, the figure emerged from the trees, a large, surprisingly animated wild boar, snuffling and grunting as it ambled forward. Jake, intrigued rather than frightened, started barking again, as if challenging the creature. Jake, no, Sarah yelled, but her warning came too late. The boar froze, its beady eyes locking on Jake. For a moment, time stood still. Back off, Jake, Alex shouted, scrambling to grab the dog's collar. In a surprising twist, the boar snorted loudly, then turned and charged into the woods, the ground shaking under its weight. Let's get out of here, Sarah shouted, her instincts taking over as adrenaline kicked in. Jake, sensing the urgency, followed them as they sprinted down the path, their breaths heavy in the dampening air. As they navigated away from the chaotic scene, Sarah felt a rush of both fear and exhilaration. What was that? Alex still struggling to keep up. Just a boar, she called back, heart racing. But we need to keep moving. With every stride, the safety of the main trail drew closer. As they rounded a bend, the sound of laughter and music floated through the air, guiding them home. The picnic area came into view, alive with families gathered around, their faces illuminated by string lights. Thank God, Alex exclaimed, relief flooding his features as they approached the clearing. Jake barked excitedly as if sensing the change in atmosphere, wagging his tail and jumping up eager for the familiar sights and smells. Sarah let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. We made it, she whispered, exhilaration coursing through her veins. Thanks to Jake and you, Alex said, a grin breaking through his earlier tension. I owe you both a meal. Before she could respond, they spotted a group of hikers from Alex's party. Relief washed over him as he shouted, guys, over here. Laughter erupted as his friends rushed toward him, clearly worried. Sarah felt a twinge of envy at how freely they connected, their camaraderie a sharp contrast to her own emotional entanglements. Where have you been? One of the women asked, her face a mix of annoyance and concern. We thought we lost you. Giving his friends a quick overview of his misadventures, Sarah stood off to the side, allowing the moment to unfold. She smiled to see the joy in Alex's eyes, yet her thoughts drifted back to the letters tucked in her backpack, words of lost love, of longing, and the strange connection that spiraled around her since that discovery. As Alex's friends celebrated his return, Sarah felt something shift within her. Perhaps it was the culmination of everything, the letters, the encounters, the chaotic feeling of trust and vulnerability. She was momentarily reminded of Thomas and Eleanor's story, and how sometimes, life had a way of bringing strangers together. Sarah, join us, Alex called, waving her over. The genuine warmth in his voice was impossible to resist. Just for a bit, she replied, walking toward them. The picnic table was filled with blankets of food, laughter, and stories like a kaleidoscope of friendship. As they chowed down on sandwiches and shared stories, Sarah felt herself relax. The initial chaos dissipated, replaced by a sense of belonging she hadn't expected. She observed the warmth of human connection sizzling in the air, and despite Herself, she chuckled at the way their personalities blended into comfortable banter. Just as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the world, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, recognizing the name flashing across the screen. Joe, her heart sank. Hesitation gripped her as she answered, their previous conversation still vivid in her mind. "Hello," she greeted, managing to sound cheerful despite the storm brewing inside her. "Hey, Sarah," Joe's voice came through, warm yet cautious. "I know I was a surprise earlier, but I wanted to see if we could talk. There's something important I need to explain." Blindsided by his unexpected call, Sarah felt her thoughts racing again. Could she move beyond the past? Alex glanced at her, eyebrows raised in curiosity, and she felt a paradox of emotions swirl within her. I need to think about it," she stammered, feeling the weight of Jake pressing against her leg, a reminder of the bond that anchored her amidst uncertainty. "Just hear me out," Joe pressed, urgency creeping into his tone. "Please." She closed her eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. Life was unfolding like those letters bound together in unexpected ways. Realization hit her hard today as she stood at the intersection of the past and the present. She glanced at Alex, who was engaged with his friends, laughter all around him. "Give me a moment," she replied, feeling the warmth of the picnic surrounding her. "I'll call you back." As she ended the call, new questions surged within her. Would she confront Joe, face their shared history? Or would she carve a path anew, guided by the unexpected revelations of the afternoon? Jake leaned against her leg, grounding her in the moment. Whatever the choice, she felt power surging within. They had come together through chaos, laughter, and unexpected reunions, and now, she had to decide how the next chapter of her journey would unfold. Torn between two worlds as darkness fell, the warm glow of the picnic lights flickered like fireflies in the evening air. Laughter and chatter resonated around the table, but Sarah felt a storm brewing within her. The call from Joe lingered in her mind, echoing like a haunting melody, one she had tried hard to forget but now found impossible to ignore. "Are you okay?" Alex's concerned voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back to the present. "You've been awfully quiet."
Yeah.
"Just a lot on my mind," she replied, forcing a smile. She wanted to engage, to share in the laughter and joy around her, but the weight of her past loomed large. Jake sensed her unease and nudged her. With his nose, his warm brown eyes filled with a comforting understanding. She leaned down, giving him a gentle scratch behind the ears, grateful for his presence. "Thanks for being here, buddy," she whispered, wishing he could somehow help ease the storm inside her. "Want to take Jake for a quick walk?" Alex suggested, his playful grin revealing a glimmer of mischief in his eyes. "Get some fresh air before dessert?" "Sure, that sounds good," Sarah replied, grateful for an opportunity to step away from the tension. As they strolled away from the gathering, the peaceful sounds of the night enveloped them, the soft chirping of crickets, the rustle of leaves in the light breeze. They wandered along a path lined with trees, their silhouettes stark against the starry sky. The air felt electric, charged with anticipation as she and Alex walked in silence for a moment. Then, glancing at him, she said, "I didn't know you were such an adventurer. Getting lost in the woods and all." He laughed, his eyes sparkling. "I wouldn't exactly call it that. More like a disaster waiting to happen. But I guess you could say it's all part of the experience, right?" "Right. Every experience makes for a good story," she replied, feeling a warmth bloom in her chest. As they moved deeper into the trees, they stumbled upon a small clearing bathed in moonlight. "Wow," Sarah breathed, taken aback by the sheer beauty of the night. "Isn't it amazing?" he said, gazing around. "I love how places like this can feel so alive. It reminds me that there's more out there, beyond everyday problems."
Yeah.
Sarah trailed off, her thoughts drifting back to Joe, the weight of their shared history bearing down on her. "Something's bothering you," Alex observed, his keen gaze penetrating her defenses. "You can tell me if you want. I'm a pretty good listener." "Thank you," she said, feeling a mix of relief and reluctance. "It's just, I had a call from my ex earlier. I wasn't expecting it," he said, nodding thoughtfully. "Those can be complicated. Want to talk about it? She hesitated, but something about Alex made her trust him. I don't know. It's just, we broke up under really messy circumstances, and now he wants to talk. She paused, unsure of how much to reveal. I thought I had moved on, but this call threw me off balance. It's tough, Alex said, his tone empathetic. Especially when unresolved feelings linger. But you should do what feels right for you. Don't let someone else's past choices dictate your future. I know, but I feel torn, Sarah confessed. Part of me feels like I owe him a conversation, but another part of me wants to move forward, forge my own path. As if sensing the tension, Jake wagged his tail and wandered further into the clearing. He sniffed around, momentarily oblivious to the emotional weight surrounding the two of them. Want to do something wild? Alex proposed suddenly, pulling her attention away from her worries. What do you mean? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Let's make a pact, he said. Of no regrets pact. For tonight, let go of everything. No past, no future, just be in the moment. Are you serious? Sarah chuckled, but there was a spark of excitement ignited within her. Absolutely. No more dwelling. Just enjoy this night and the adventure of it, Alex urged, his eyes glinting with mischief. All right, I'm in, she said, her spirit rising. No regrets. With that, Alex led her further into the clearing, and they began tossing leaves at each other, their laughter echoing off the trees. For a brief moment, the weight of her past lightened, replaced by the spontaneity of the night. The lightness in her heart filled her with a sense of liberation she hadn't experienced in ages. Dancing through the leaves with Jake bounding beside them felt exhilarating. She was no longer tied down by her previous entanglements, however. Laughter quickly turned to silence as Jake suddenly stopped, his ears perked up again. His body tensed, and he looked toward the tree-line, where shadows loomed large. Jake, what is it? Sarah whispered, her excitement rapidly fading into anxiety. He senses something, Alex said, holding his breath, his playful demeanor vanishing. As Jake began to bark, something moved in the darkness. An unsettling feeling settled in Sarah's gut. Maybe we should go back, she suggested nervously, glancing over her shoulder, but before they could retreat, a low growl erupted from the shadows. What was that? Alex asked, his voice tense. Stay close. Sarah warned, her heart pounding in her chest. Jake lunged toward the sound, undeterred, barking ferociously. From behind the tree line, a large figure appeared this time, not a boar but a big, menacing wolf, its eyes glowing in the moonlight. Jake, no. Sarah shouted as her dog charged forward, oblivious to the danger. Stop him. Alex urged, panic rising in his voice. Jake. Sarah shouted desperately, but the wolf stepped into the clearing, its eyes locked onto Jake as it let out a chilling howl. In that moment, time seemed to freeze. Sarah's heart raced, flooded with fear. She would never forgive herself if she lost Jake. Come back, she yelled, but Jake was too excited, standing his ground against the predator. Get behind me. Alex shouted, stepping in front of Sarah as the wolf snarled, its teeth bared, shifting closer. What do we do? She whispered, her voice trembling. I don't know, but we can't let it get to Jake. Suddenly, the wolf lunged forward. And Sarah's instinct kicked in. Jake, come, she screamed, fear galvanizing her as she rushed forward. But then, before she could comprehend what was happening, Alex lunged beside her, putting himself in harm's way. He threw a rock at the wolf, trying to divert its attention. Stay back, he shouted. The wolf turned its focus to Alex, snarling menacingly as it approached him. Sarah swallowed hard, her heart racing. Alex, no. Run, Sarah. Get him back, he urged, and in that moment, she saw the determination in his eyes. She had a choice to make, which risk was worth taking. She could run and save herself, or stay and protect the one creature that had given her so much unconditional love. Jake, come, she pleaded again, and miraculously, her loyal dog obeyed, bolting back toward her side. Alex took a step back, keeping the wolf at bay with his movement. Go. Now, he yelled, forcing Sarah into action. With Jake at her heels, Sarah grabbed Alex's arm. We have to go. Now. Just as the wolf lunged again, they turned and sprinted away, heartbeats pounding in synchrony. Jake dashed ahead, leading them back toward the hiking trail, where the safety of the picnic lights glimmered in the distance. Faster, Alex urged, glancing back as the wolf hesitated at the edge of the clearing but didn't follow, with fear fueling her legs. They hurtled down the path, finally reaching the safety of the lights. The laughter and chatter enveloped them like a warm embrace as other hikers glanced their way, confusion marking their faces. "We're all right. Just a scare," Alex breathed, panting heavily as they stumbled into the safety of the group. "What happened?" one of the hikers asked, concern etched on their face. "Just a wolf." "Nothing serious," Sarah replied, though her heart still raced with adrenaline. Around them, the group was gathering, their camaraderie palpable. But amid the safety, Sarah's thoughts were clouded. The encounter had shifted everything. She felt unmoored as fear mixed with gratitude. Alex had put himself in danger for her and Jake, while her heart still grappled with Joe's call lingering in the background. "Thank you," she finally managed to say to Alex, overwhelmed with gratitude as Jake rested by her side, panting but unfazed. "It was nothing," he said, but she could see the intensity of the moment still echoed in his eyes. But as the night unfolded, part of her knew this experience marked a turning point. Torn between two worlds, the safety of her past and the thrill of the present, Sarah had a decision to make, and in the flickering glow of friendships gathered around the fire, all she could think of was how life was a series of unexpected encounters, some thrilling, some terrifying. As her heart settled, she felt ready to embrace whatever came next, armed with the knowledge that she was never truly alone. Yet, as she caught sight of the dark woods beyond, she could still sense the latent danger, the choices that lay ahead. The wolf may have retreated, but reminders of her past, with its tangled lessons, lingered in the shadows, waiting to be confronted, and somewhere in the distance, the phone call from Joe beckoned, a reminder that the past held its own dangers yet to be faced. With a deep breath, she prepared herself, knowing that every twist in her journey ultimately led to the discovery of her own power.